A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the webinar on digital transformation and the digital reality initiative from IEEE. I would like to extend my gratitude to our eminent speaker of the day, Professor Fung from Murdoch University, Australia. I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. S.N. Sridhara, Director, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Anil Kumar, Head, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, my fellow colleagues and dear students. It is indeed a pleasure to have you all here today. Before starting the webinar, I would like to request Professor Dr. S.N. Sridhara, Director, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, to please say a few words.
Thank you. Welcome one and all to the webinar from Amity School of Engineering and Technology, Amity University, Haryana. As you are aware, Amity University, Haryana is known as Research and Innovation Driven University. The birthday of Honorable Chancellor Dr. Asim Chauhan on 28 September is celebrated in the campus as Innovation Day. And every year, 1 week prior to the celebration of Innovation Day, many activities of research and innovation were conducted and displayed. This year also, amidst pandemic of COVID-19, our university is organizing webinars from renowned resource persons and carrying out the research and innovation activities. The present webinar is one of the series being conducted by ASET, and we thank Honorable Chancellor, Vice Chancellor and Pro-Vice Chancellor for their motivation, support and guidance for carrying out these activities. For the present webinar, I requested my Facebook friend, Professor Lance, and he immediately agreed for it. So I wholeheartedly welcome for today's webinar session from him. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And Nisha, you can just invite him for this.
Yes, sir. I would now like to introduce our eminent speaker of the day, Emeritus Professor C.C. Fung was trained and worked as a marine radio and electronic officer in Hong Kong during 70s. He graduated from a BSc degree with first-class honors and a master's in engineering degree from the University of Wales. His PhD degree was awarded by the University of Western Australia with a thesis on artificial intelligence and power system engineering. He has taught at Singapore Polytechnic, Curtin University, and Murdoch University, where he was appointed Emeritus Professor in 2015. His roles have included Associate Dean of Research, Postgraduate Research Director, and Director of the Center for Enterprise Collaborative in Innovative Systems. He has supervised to completion over 331 doctoral students and published over 335 academic articles. His contributions can be viewed at IEEE Explore, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, etc. Lance has been a dedicated volunteer for the IEEE over 26 years in various positions in the chapter, WA section, Australia Council, and the Region 10 Executive Committee. Lance continues his research and supervision of postgraduate students, and his motto is, "Learning has no boundary." I request Emeritus Professor Lance C.C. Fung to start his session.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the very nice introduction. And also thank you very much for this opportunity I'm able to share with you on this topic on digital transformation and digital reality initiative from IEEE. And I really enjoyed the interaction with Professor Dr. Sridhara over the Facebook. And it's really amazing that we're able to communicate well with one another with the modern technology. And I'm going to share a little bit more based on my background as well. So as far as today is concerned, well, in a way that I have to make some disclaimer that really I don't claim myself coming to you as an expert in this area. But I always like some of the terms I have been introduced in a lot of the previous webinar. They call me as the resource person. Well, really looking back, I really enjoy this term because I do see myself coming to you as a resource person that I want to share with you that some of the resources are available from IEEE, whereby I hope it's going to be useful for those of you among the audience. Okay, so the topic I have is a digital transformation, IEEE digital reality initiatives. And I take this opportunity once again, formally, thank you for the invitation by Professor Sridhara. And also thank you for the team, Dr. Anil Kumar, and also thank you for Nisha for the introduction. And well, all of you from the Amity School of Engineering and Technology, and from Gurugram, and Gurgaon, India. As I've already mentioned, that although that I'm wearing my hat as IEEE volunteer, but really my sharing is entirely based on my own personal experience and opinion. And most of the information I'm sharing are publicly available online. And I target the audience among you that you have undergraduate and postgraduate students, but you have researchers, faculty members, IEEE and non-IEEE delegates. So it's not surprising that a lot of time that after I share my presentation, but even a lot of the IEEE members, well, for many years, well, they say that they're not even aware of some of those resources available, well, from IEEE. And similarly, well, for those non-IEEE, well, delegates, I hope that you have an understanding and you can assess well, some of those information are publicly available to everyone. So my agenda today is, first of all, I give you a quick introduction to myself. It's not so much that I would like to blow my trumpet in any way at all, but I would like to share with you some of the resources available from my university, mainly from some of my past publications and the thesis well I have supervised. And they are all publicly available. So you're more than welcome if you find that any of those topics are of interest to you. Then I take a look briefly at what is digital transformation. And then I'll take a look in terms of the IEEE resources on these emerging technologies. And I have been, well, the chairperson and involved for many years on this new initiatives committee. And I do see that it is one of the very important arms in IEEE in supporting a lot of the leading edge of technology. So I'm going to briefly introduce the functions and what have we been doing. And then I'm going to pick up one of these initiatives, which is the main topic for today. It's called digital reality. Well, this one received a funding from 2020 to 2022. And then I'm going to take a look at some typical example of how you can get these resources well from one of these initiatives. So where am I? So I took the liberty, well, the screen capture. Well, I believe this is the picture of your campus, and this is our campus at Murdoch University. Well, I understand that you are somewhere well on the northern part, middle of India, and I just heard that well sometimes you hit well mid 40 degree of high temperature, and for us, well, in Perth, sometimes in the summer, we do have something similar as well. Well, but then again, well, we are on the west coast. We are sharing the same Indian Ocean. And as you can see that we are the closest neighbor, well, compared to the East Coast, well, most of the cities, everybody know like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, etc. Well, we are area-wise, well, Western Australia actually occupy around 1/3 of the overall well, territory well, of Australia, but we only get around well, 2.4 million people in the whole state. Well, within the metropolitan area, around 2 million people. Murdoch University is the second oldest university, around 50 years old. The oldest one is the University of Western Australia. Other two universities are Curtin University and Edith Cowan University. We have only one private university, the Notre Dame University, affiliated to Notre Dame University in USA. So getting to know me, well, you can really find well, further information about myself well, from our university website. You just simply need to Google Murdoch University profile lens Fung, and this is the page where you will see. And I will just point to two of those links whereby you can find out some of those resources. But before that, well, take a look in terms of my background. I always like to share well, these few photos. Not that because I just simply well, looking at my old photos and I just wonder how come I put on so much weight well since all these years ago. But what I really want to share is in terms of how the technology have changed over the years. The first photo on the upper right-hand side, well, it was my, after I graduated from Hong Kong Polytechnic, and then, well, I have spent 1 year on board this ship called American Maine. Well, 1974, it's really an old ship, no longer in existence now. It's pretty small as well, only, well, just over a dozen or so crew and officer on board. And I was a radio officer. And then, well, after, well, still another 1 year, I further studied for 1 year in UK, and went back, and then I started another ship. Well, that was in 1976, okay, from 74 to 76. But what I would like to highlight is, well, how I observed the satellite technology beginning to come in. Well, obviously, my role as a radio officer, my main role is a telecommunication. And I was the only one on board the ship can communicate with the rest of the world. And then, well, more or less, well, the ship safety is also rely on me. So if there's anything happen to me, then I will be the one of the second last one to leave the ship together with the captain. And then you watch the movies like Titanic and all those things, and I'm glad that I never have the chance to send out the SOS. But nevertheless, well, you see that how the technology have changed over the years. That just within 2 years, well, I see the satellite technology come in, we're using it for position fixing. But well, it's not like what we have nowadays. We enjoy the Google map and all those things. well, you really get the satellite fixing once every few hours. But then again, I was able to communicate, well, from one part of the world to another part. Well, I think I have a record that I can communicate from southern part of Africa, from Cape Town all the way to UK, well, in Morse code, and send all the messages and receive the messages. It's really quite something when you think about that. It's only 1 kilowatt transmitter behind me, and then everything in the Morse code, very slow messages. And then the second picture is 1981, well, when I did my master's degree, and that was the first time I've encountered the microprocessor. Well, my project was a microprocessor-based automatic testing system. And then there was a Motorola 8-bit microprocessor, 6800. And then well, over the years now, in the past 40 years, well, I've been teaching microcontrollers, microprocessors, and I've seen the changes, well, rapidly over the years in terms of the capacity, number of transistors, well. And then, well, nowadays, well, even if you've been using the mobile phone, well, you know what I mean, well, how the facility have been changing. So my challenge to all of you among the audience, well, how do you expect the technology will change in the next, well, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? I myself, unlikely I will be able to see the technology in the next 40 years, but how about you? But looking back, I have seen technology change over 40 years, how communication have changed, how computers have changed. And then, well, now we embark, well, on this AI and all those things, how these algorithms have changed, how we make use of it. I myself been involved with the study on AI for over 30 years now. So again, you can see, well, a lot of things that at the past we think that it's more or less impossible to do. Well, because when we do neural network, when I first started, well, we used the IBM AT machine, which is already 16-bit microprocessor. I need to leave it running for 1 whole week before I can get some result. And nowadays we can upload everything to the cloud and get a calculation for us. Anyway, so coming back, well, to my others, well, assignments. So I have finished my sailing time. Well, actually my last ship assignment was in 1980. And then since then, well, more or less, well, I haven't been back to ship until 2001. I went on board a ship. Well, that was the IEEE Region 10 conference. Well, on the Superstar Virgo. It was a cruise. And then from that point onwards, well, I really enjoy the cruise. I started cruising more frequent, especially since my retirement. But nevertheless, well, I have seen the changes of the technology over the years. And nowadays on board a cruise, I can get 24-hour access on the internet. So compared to what I had for 50 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, well, I was the only one communicate. But now everyone on board the ship, they can chat, they can surf, well, they can, well, using the FaceTime, well, unless it's really, well, some position or very bad weather that they cannot get contact. Even when I was cruising, I can even conduct my teleconference with IEEE meeting, etc. So you can imagine, well, what is going to happen next. But I can tell you what happened next is, well, Elon Musk is establishing the Skylink, well, satellite network. Once that one is on, then more or less, well, you can get access, well, anywhere, anytime. It's really amazing. So in terms of my academic work, then as you have heard earlier on, I've taught in Curtin University, Murdoch University, Singapore Polytechnic, and I also received my degree in the University of Western Australia. So out of the 4 public university in Western Australia, I got strong connection to 3 of them. And then in terms of IEEE, well, as you can see, I have my affiliation for over 31 years as member and over 26 years as volunteer. And I really enjoyed my time in the past years, well, in particular as a new initiatives committee, which I'll talk a little bit more later on. And also my involvement with the conference quality committee and the technical program and integrity committee. And also on the technical society, I have been a member of the board of governors in the system and cybernetics. And locally within the sections, within the chapters, and also Australian Council, I've been most of those already. Now, coming back to my profile page, well, you have heard that, well, I have published over 335 papers. Actually, that is only the number of articles being collected in the Murdoch University Research Repository. I do have more than that. I think my last count may be around 380 or so. But nevertheless, well, although a lot of those earlier papers, they were not in the electronic format, so they were not included. But nevertheless, well, they are useful because, well, those information, well, listed in my page, you can take a look at each one of them and you can even download it. So according to my university statistic, well, they have started collecting this information since 2009 until now. They said that out of 335 articles, it has been downloaded 62,000 times. And 61% of these, you can get the whole text, okay, because they are in open access. And well, some of those, well, they have been downloaded a couple of thousand times, okay? The highest one is around 5,000 times, and that one is 3,000 something, etc., etc. I think this is the good, well, service that they have done as far as our university is concerned. I'm pretty sure it's also available in a lot of other universities now. So it can, well, make people, well, can get more information, well, publicly without really paying the subscription to a certain article or journals, etc. So this is another one. I think this is the one highest one, and this was published in 2006. Okay, actually this was a student, and yeah, this student actually he did a PhD with us. I think COVID. He is from Thailand, and well, this particular work was published in 2006, and you can see even up to now it's still being downloaded in 2020. Okay, so as you can see over the years, it downloaded 5,000 times to 200 times. Well, this is another one, and I find this one interesting. Well, because, well, it has something to do with our talk today. Well, this was a paper published in 2008. We're talking about, well, raising the information security awareness in digital ecosystem with games, a pilot study in Thailand. And then this paper was published in 2008, well, with a student, Varin. Varin actually has worked for Nokia right now over in Thailand. But again, take a look, well, in terms of the download. It was published in 2008, and even up to now, 2020 is still being downloaded, okay, 723 times. And well, more importantly, what this particular paper actually was based on this game, so called Cyber Siege. And Cyber Siege was a game from US Naval Postgraduate School. So we didn't develop ourselves. Well, we consult them, we were able to use the facilities. And they even recognize, well, we are being one of the first paper, well, to the public, to publish, well, in terms of assessment of the work. And this is, well, from their website. So on this basis, we are really pleased, well, for the effect, well, implication on this one, recognizing our work back in 2008, and is still being, well, noted, well, in the US Naval Postgraduate School website. And then in terms of the thesis, well, again, you can take a look, well, in our research repository. And some of those are in particular related to our talk again. Well, a lot of them are based on the games, or based on the VR, or based on the education, etc. So again, each one of these you can download, well, the whole complete thesis. So when you click on any of those, well, this is what you expect to see. You will see there's one page, well, giving you the abstract, giving you the front pages, and also you can download the complete PDF file as well. So I find it is useful. If any one of you, if you find that any of the topic of interest to your study, well, you're more than welcome to take a look. In this particular thesis, well, it was published by Jeffler, and she was from University of Bahrain, and published in 2008. As you can see, this one has been downloaded 3,251 times. Even up to now, there was a few downloads in 2020. Another one was published by another Thai student, Jinjera, and again, this was published in 2008. Well, you can see a similar format. You got an abstract, you got a front page, you have the PDF, and this one was downloaded 1,880 times. Again, quite interestingly, well, it has been, well, downloaded just recently again. So what I'm trying to say is, well, I would like to share this information that if any one of you want to find some further information on our work, you are more than welcome to take a look and download. In terms of the public information, you can take a look at the Google Scholar. So the Google Scholar have a list of my citations and also the H factors, etc. So it also, well, lists what is the, which one is our most cited paper. You have heard that my PhD work was under supervision of my late supervisor, Professor Kippo Wong. And then we published this paper in 1993 on a simulated annealing based economic dispatch algorithm. And I'm really pleased to say that this one received the highest citation as far as I'm concerned. And for my supervisor, he has a H factors, H index of 78, okay? Well, for myself, 28 actually is pretty low. Well, I mean, I can never consider myself as a tip-top, well-leading. You need to be at least 40 and above before considered as a most cited author. Well, but then again, my supervisor have a H index of 78. And but this paper, actually, I'm pleased to say that it's his second highest paper as well, high cited paper. As you can see, this paper published in 1993, well, cited around 500 times. And even up to now, 2020, is still being cited. So on this basis, I find that it's still good nowadays with the information is being recognized and shared. This is another one, well, on the virtual reality. I'm bringing up this one because this is related to our topic today. This work is from Alinda Lim, and she was from Malaysia originally, although well, after she graduated, she got a job locally at Curtin University. This was published in 2010. Again, you can see the citation actually is still going on and going up and up to 2020. So again, I see we're pretty pleased with this one. They have close around 300 citations on this particular paper, and it's still growing, even though the paper was published in 2010. And some other index, you can take a look at ResearchGate, and I was considered as a top 15% according to the members. And Explore, I have a good number of the papers, mainly are from the conference proceedings, 126 or so. And there are quite a number of those papers in Scoopers. So Scoopers, they have my 20 papers and plus the citation and the H index as well. So all in all, well, this is just part of my introduction. Not so much, as I said, I'm not really intending to just blow a trumpet. It does not really matter too much to me now with all this paper. After all, I have retired it, so I am free to say that I don't need this anymore. Now let's come to our main topic, digital transformation. Okay, what is digital transformation? Well, in a way that I must say that it is not really an entirely, well, revolution as such, but really what we see is more like an evolution that has been changing, well, over the years. So I find out some of the definition. What is a digital transformation? So the definition it says in here is a process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experience to meet changing business and market requirements. The reimagining, well, the imagining of the businesses in the digital age is digital transformation. Now, bear in mind, well, this article actually was more from the article and marketing point of view. So, and then you quoted some examples. So say, for example, from marketing point of view, well, how does digital transformations mean to them? And what is marketing automation? So really see some examples in here. Well, in the past, in the traditional approach of marketing, you use printed materials, but in the digital transformation, you use digital materials. Or by doing that, you save the money on printing and distribution. And then also you can able to even have some kind of counter or analyze, well, in terms of the effectiveness of your marketing. Well, in the past, you use a printed mail campaign, but now you use an email. In the past, you use a big billboard advertisement. Nowadays, you use a social media. Well, in the past, you have the brick and mortar, but nowadays you use websites and e-commerce website as well. In the past, you may use the a physical card for the loyalty, for the membership, but now you can easily just well, put onto the app as well. You can also receive marketing like the discount, all those things. So you can see these are examples of digital transformation has been changing in just a marketing and business itself. Well, you save the money, and also it's easier to assess the effectiveness of this. Because if you do the printed, well, just a letter drop, you do not really know how many of them are responding to your marketing. But if you things are on the app, so even right now, not long ago, I just have one of the local supermarket, okay? Again, well, I don't need to pay anything. I get a membership, and then I just go to it. Well, when I do a checkout, well, and then I show my membership card, I get some discount. But to them, well, not it's only the business is important, but really the transaction, now they can recognize, well, where I live, well, what is my profile, and then what did I buy? And this is really much more important to them in terms of the marketing. Of course, I need to be careful. Well, am I really disclosing too much of my private information? Then you see some other example. Well, how digital transformation is being used in banking. Of course, again, if you go back, well, how it started off with ATM. Well, in the past, ATM, you just simply start, well, withdrawing money. Later on, you can put in money. And then subsequently, you can do a lot of transaction as well. You can transfer the money as well. You can even buy or sell shares, and all those, well, you can have multiple accounts. You can check the balance. A lot of things can be done as well. And not only that, well, you can, well, in the past you have go to ATM, but now you can even go onto the mobile phone, do a lot of these for mobile banking. I can see one of the adverse effects is a lot of the retail shop front, the banking offices, actually, they're closing down. They don't need that, actually. Then another one in terms of the retail, again, you and I, well, are getting used to the online shopping. And then you can see that nowadays you can go through or can browse through all the hundreds of the items in the catalog instead of doing the physical shopping. But then again, it's going to affect, well, the business as well, also affecting the shop front, affecting the mall. And in terms of insurance, again, is another example. So in the past, well, maybe you deal with the insurance broker, and then later on, maybe you deal with some insurance office, local insurance office. But nowadays, you can do, again, everything online. You just simply submit all the information. And then if you have to make a claim, again, you can do it online. You can submit the email, and then you can send your photos, etc. So again, things are changing, and a lot of these are being automated as well. So all these, one of the major players enabling all these actually is AI. As I mentioned, just looking at the marketing, using AI, they can do a lot of analytics. They can use a much more target, marketing. They can do a better prediction. They can better do the analysis as well. So you can also have things like the chat box. Instead of having a human officer dealing with you, they can go into a chat bot and then deal with you online. And some of these may be even a chat bot, they're the robot themselves. So again, you can see all these digital transformation are examples how we change in the business area. But the same thing can also talk about the industry. So talk about the fourth industrial revolutions, that we can leave that for another talk later on. But more surprisingly, during the process, I find out that this particular company called Royal Enfield, and honestly, it's new to me. And I heard that, I found out that they were the oldest, still in production of motorbike manufacturer. And they are, and then, I attend one of the webinar, and then I found out that, their production actually even more than the Europeans and also the North American producers of motorbike put together. And the most interesting part is that with the digital transformation, they're able to do customization. So it's really quite something that with such a high volume of a production, they're able to do customization, personalization of the product. And it's really amazing. And this is only possible because of the digital transformation, okay? So in that case, then you may ask another question. Okay, how can I find further information about this digital transformation? As I have said, I come to you as a resource person. Then the first thing I can point to you is go and take a look in IEEE website under the future directions. Under the future directions committee, there's one particular page talking about different blocks. And there is one of these tech clouds indicating that what are the terms that people are interested in and what are the most discussed. And you can see digital transformation, actually it's the second one. Okay, so artificial intelligence have been the highest one, followed by digital transformation. And then if you go through it, there's a lot of blogs actually written by one of my colleagues. In the next, actually, a lot of them are being written by Roberto. And you can see a lot of these are different topics that talk about how the industry is being affected. A lot of these, a lot of these articles are also written not on a single article, but they're really in a series, maybe 6, 7, or 8 of those. Like the latest one, not long ago, is on the leveraging patents. So you can take all the way, I think 7 or 8 articles have been written on this. So it's a very good indication that you take a look how the changes of the digital transformation. So you can see a lot of other topics I'm going to share with you. The leveraging pattern is only one of it. Okay, so there are altogether 7 articles that are written on this. Changing landscape of the industrial competitions, digital transformation impact on jobs. Again, 7 articles have been written on this. Economics of the digital transformation. Okay, even there's written around 16 different articles on this topic. And then we're planning for the new world. 8 articles have been written. Lights and shadows. Let's read it up. There's another one. Many phases of digital transformation, how it changed the society. So these are examples I can demonstrate, I can share with you. But what I would like to share, draw attention is, if you go back to one of the first articles, actually it went all the way back to 2017. Okay, so in other words, it has been a long history of a digital transformation have been put in place. And I strongly encourage any one of you, you're interested in this topic, maybe take a good look at some of these write-up on this topic. So let's cover on some of the backgrounds on the digital transformation. Now let's take a look at the IEEE resources on the emerging technologies. Because you need the technologies to drive the transformation. And this is where, these emerging technologies and IEEE comes in. Now, I'm using some other resources, but not from IEEE. But again, I came across some others webinars from this called the live Workdex. And they talk about different topics on this digital transformation or emerging technology. You will see a lot of these actually are in the main core of the IEEE research repository, which is the Explore. They talk about 5G, artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, blockchain, drones, machine learning, medical robots, motion planning and control, robot arms, robotics and the factory, etc., etc. So all these have been recognized as the emerging technology, not from IEEE, but from another, outside organization. But if you link back to IEEE Explore, well, you will find this page. They talk about a lot of those documents in IEEE actually are related to these topics. This is the fourth industrial revolution, emerging technology. Again, you see the same thing, what you observe: autonomous vehicles, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cloud computing, augmented reality, cybersecurity, big data, autonomous robot, 3D printing, etc. You can see all these, you have tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of articles have been written on that already. So this is where you can find an immense wealth of information and resources in IEEE. Then, well, how are these information are being provided to the members? Of course, on one aspect is through the actual article itself, well, in the Explore. But on the other hand, well, we also have the IEEE Education Activities Board. But again, I have an association because through my role as the chair of the Region 10 Education Activities Committee. So you can take a look at some of the services and the products. Well, they mainly aim into three areas: pre-university activities, university activities, and continuing activities. So the main idea is to provide, well, the values, well, to the members. So through the ILN, which I will talk about shortly, about the certification program to recognize the continuing education, and also how they improve the quality, and also provide the micro volunteering as well. So ILN is significant because it was launched years ago. Well, it was supported by the new initiative committee. I think it's around $1.3 million. Well, we have invested into that. As you can see, well, they have around close to 6,000 of users, and 2/3 of them are young professionals. 60% of them are IEEE members. Well, of course, being IEEE member, you will have discount on some of those courses. And even right now, well, we have some of the courses that are offered on discount, $10 US, well, for the IEEE celebration, IEEE Day, etc. All the materials, well, have been prepared by the IEEE partners, well, through our technical societies, or technical councils and the boards and the sections, etc. So you also have, well, some other resources. A lot of these, actually, they are free of charge as well. You take a look at IEEE Innovation at Works, well, distant learning. Well, you also have some technicals, the topic, and also some of those are for the pre-university, like try engineering. So all these, well, you are more than available. Well, you're more than welcome to take a look, and all of them are available on demand, all these webinars. And on top of that, some other resources, and in particular, well, for the students, well, I find it extremely useful, and a lot of people, they may not even realize it. We also have a lot of e-books, well, under the IEEE USA. Well, they're not necessarily everything on the emerging technologies, but a lot of these are on the skill development, and in particular for the career development as well. So you just simply take a look at IEEE USA and take a look at the ebook categories. Well, although some of these, they will charge, because especially some of those reports are looking at surveys from the industry. The majority of them, they're free of charge. And I think it's close to around 200 or 300 or so. I myself actually download most of these already, all these, and you can see that some of these are examples, will be extremely useful for the student. See, for example, well, a living resume, volume 1, 2, 3. Critical thinking skills for engineers. Okay, book 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, developing your people. Okay, another 3 books, 3 volumes on that. Doing innovations, creating economic values. Again, book 1, 2, 3, 4. And then engineering the art of negotiation. Engineering guide to lifelong employability. Okay, launching your career. Leading and managing engineering and technology, book 1, 2, 3, 4. Plug-in hybrids, this is something to do with the electrical vehicles. RFID, okay, the state of radio frequency implementations and policy implications. Shaping an engineering career. The best of today's engineering, okay. Thomas Edison, okay. Women in engineering, also this is good. I think this is extremely good, the women in engineering. Well, they have some of the compact volume. Altogether, I think at least around 22 has been published. And most of these are the account of some of the women, successful women in engineering. And just simply, is extremely good, in particular, encouraging the ladies into the STEM and the engineering profession. So you can see all these books are free of charge. Okay, I have all these in my library, but really you can download all of them from IEEE USA. So what I'm trying to say up to this point is, well, you can get a lot of these resources through the formal courses, through the ILN, through the e-learning, and a lot of the free webinars and resources through the innovation networks, and also a lot of these ebooks. So all these are preparing you for the digital transformation. Now, how next come in? This is a new initiative program. As I said, well, I'm really pleased and honored that I was a chair in 2019. So this year I'm still serving as a past chair. So I'm still involved and knows what's going on. Well, you see all these terms that you may be familiar by now. Well, what is Internet of Things? You have already heard me talk about ILN. But we have also things like a technical program for English, for technical program. Actually, we changed the name now. This is the second edition. We call it English for Technical Professions. Tri-engineering is for the pre-university. IEEE TV, cloud computing, rebooting, smart city and smart grid and all those. So anything in common? All these have been funded and supported by a new initiative program. You can take a look at the website. Just simply search IEEE, new initiative, and this is what you'll find in the website. Well, we consider any new program, service, or products are the new initiatives, but they must bring significant benefit and also long-lasting impact. Well, I'm also sharing with you is, well, actually for being members, well, you are also welcome to submit your proposal. You can get some grant up to 40,000 in US dollars if the grant is being considered acceptable as a seed grant, or maybe even more than that. As I have said, well, major big program, you may even go over $1 million or so, but it must be able to demonstrate a major impact. So it must be of strategic importance to IEEE, and we don't fund any operational necessities. Say, for example, we don't fund salary, we don't fund scholarship, or those kind of things. So there are also a lot of others requirements. So you're more than welcome to take a look at the information on our website. Well, this program has been around since year 2000, so over 20 years. The main thing is we are doing new things, encouraging the innovations. So we are directly appointed and report to the board of directors. So the main function, we identify with commands and monitors all these new initiatives in line with the IEEE vision, mission, and a strategic plan. So if you take a look at the list, well, you will see some of the past projects have been supported. And also you can see some examples in here, some of the success applications. So if some people you're really interested looking into this opportunity, well, you're more than welcome to take a look at that. So if I take a look at what happened right now, well, in terms of the emerging technologies, well, more or less we can identify some of these, like the AI and related technologies, the learning, analytics, the networking, and the communication, like the 5G and beyond. Brain, the technology, we have one the brain initiatives. Blockchain, actually we can see now going to practical use in the industry. Computer technology that go beyond the Moore's law, and whenever we go into quantum and those kind of, and then in terms of the last one, the AR and the VR, the technology is the one what are you talking about under the digital realities initiatives. So again, you can see some of these projects we have supported in the past. Internet of Things supported in 2014 to 2016, $1.36 million. Big data initiatives that really what AI nowadays, or machine learning, all these rely on this big data. We funded between 15 to 17, close to $1 million. Cybersecurity is a very important aspect. We funded between 15 to 17, $700,000. So all these you can also find on the individual website under IEEE. Rebooting computing, okay, 17 to 19, 672,000. Brain initiatives, around $500,000 between 18 to 20. And then the last one is the digital reality. This is the one I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to use this one to illustrate to you where do you find these resources in one of these typical initiatives, and in particular, the digital reality we might be interested today. So all these actually are under the future directions committee. If you can recall, I used a future direction earlier on to show you the blogs, to show you where you can find all the information, articles on digital transformation, and that's where the committee is. So all these are part of it, okay? So you can take a look at all these websites in the individual initiatives. So I'm using this one as an example, digital reality. So these initiatives serves to enable the coming digital transformation through the collaboration among the technologists, engineers, regulators, ethicists. And it is fueled by the advances of sensors, actuators, AI, machine learning, and also, well, leverage with the AR, VR, digital twins, etc. So you can take a look at the website, just simply digitalreality.ieee.org. So I'm going to share with you some of this screen capture, well, what you can find under this initiative. So you can see, well, the website, you've got a scrolling banner page, in this case, talking about the convergence of the XR, extended reality, and the robotic, well, technologies. So you can take a look under the icon about, to give you the background, and also how you link together with the IEEE IC Industrial Consortium on the learning engineering, and also how you support the Augmented World Expo, and also a lot of other periodicals. So you'll find all these articles, webinars, all these resources. Okay, so in this case, you have the webinars on the smart technologies in enhancing browsing experience. And then you see that some additional articles on what is augmented realities. You have the volunteering opportunities as well. You can be involved if you're working in this area. You can also contribute towards this as well. You have a white papers. Again, is another source of information, in addition to things like the articles in the journals and the conference proceedings, etc. You also have the opportunities, well, to hear the latest development through the conferences. You can see the conferences listed all the way up to here is 2021. A couple of these may be also happening in India as well. And then for the education, well, through the resources like the webinars, well, like the podcasts, okay, like the videos, and also some of the archived content as well. So in this case, you've got this upcoming webinar, and also creating new realities and the convergent XR and the robotic technologies. That's what you see on the first page. So you get a podcast, you get a publication. So the publication not only that allow you to read it, but you can also contribute by submitting, well, to some of these magazines or maybe or proceedings, well, relating, well, to these topics. Okay, so you can publish, well, in the IEEE graphics, computer graphics, the proceedings of IEEE, the Institute, and computer magazine as well. Well, reports and white papers. So again, there's a lot of other additional information and the related topics, okay? So you can see, well, through a typical initiative like this one, well, you can find out so much information from IEEE. So the blog I've showed you earlier on actually is really talking about the same thing in here. So I have other, well, related articles. Well, more importantly, well, apart from all these broadcast publications, but the standard is really important because this is where, well, you have the common, well, agreement between the industry. So IEEE is also instrumental, well, in contributing, well, to the industry, well, through the standard. Bear in mind that one of the major boards in IEEE is the SA, Standard Association Board. Okay, and from there, they propose, well, a lot of these standards. So they have a lot of standards, well, related to the XR and VR, AR, etc. So you can see all these P2048 are based on the standards for the virtual reality and augmented reality, all the different aspects. And also you can also get involved through the working groups as well. Okay, so they call for participation. So again, well, you can get involved with this. Well, then you may say that, okay, I may not really get particularly involved with this, and well, how can I be part of it? Well, first of all, you can get, well, involved through the community. You can, well, be part of it just like any subscription, well, to the magazine or society. In this case, well, being IEEE members, well, you only cost you $10. Well, to join this, then you can access to a lot more information. Alternatively, if you're a student, it will cost you $5 US. If you're not a member, it will cost you $15. And then, well, you have also other venues as well. Say, for example, like the Collaborate Tech, where you don't even need to be members. In here, you have around close to 12,000 members, well, in this community group under the digital reality. And they also have, well, on the Facebook, on the social media, Twitter, and also LinkedIn as well. So you can see that just on the digital reality initiative, it's not only just simply working on one or two single projects, but rather it's really quite comprehensive. You have a community, you have the education resources, you have the opportunity for volunteers, you have the opportunity to be, well, if you are active researchers, well, involved with the standards and also the working group, etc. So the same can be said of all the others, well, initiatives as well. So now come to the last part. So we have talked so much about the digital reality. So exactly what are they doing? So one of the main areas is in terms of the virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and the extended reality. So these are the key things, okay? So the virtual reality is a simulated experience that can be similar to or completely different from the real world. So a lot of times that you have some kind of headset being put in and you really feel like that you're really, well, just part of the environment inside there. Alternatively, it could be augmented reality. So this is the one that's superimposed on a real world environment. So I will show you some examples later on. Well, even you can get it done simply, well, on a mobile phone nowadays. So whereby, well, you have some of these computer generated objects was being superimposed, well, on the real world environment. Or you can have a mix between the two, well, a mixed reality. You can also have the interaction, whereby you have the physical and the digital objects interact in real time. In general, now we even call them extended reality now. Well, you're referring to all the real and virtual combined environment and the human-machine interactions generated by the computer technology and the variable devices. So we're going to see some of these devices which are already available today. So, but before we do that, we may put it in context. Well, why is this so important? Well, maybe, of course, we can quantify it by looking at the dollar and cents. So if you take a look at 2018, the global box office, well, they around worth $41.7 billion, okay? So this is what they have data. But if we add up to have the home entertainment and games, etc., home entertainment may sell, well, maybe around $136 billion in 2018. So this is the amount that people spend on entertaining. But if you take a look at games in 2018, the video game generated sales of $134.9 billion, well, annual worldwide. So what are we going to see in here? What we see in here is people spending on games is really compatible with all the film industry and the home entertainment put together. And in terms of VR and AR, a lot of these actually are directly related to these. So that's why it's important, okay? Because of really the economic wise. Well, again, some other data. Looking at the forecast AR and the VR market size for worldwide from 2016 to 2020, you're looking at a growing, well, from around 3 times from 2016 to 2020, well, from 6.1 billion to around $18.8 billion. So, and other articles, I find it from this V-Exchange, they talk about top 7 augmented reality statistics for 2020. So you're talking about the forecast is expected to be $70 to $75 billion by 2023. You can see augmented reality is being applied to the healthcare, well, to the military in terms of the training, and also well, the Pokemon Go's, the games. Well, I can tell you that I have even observed in the past that MGA director have been playing on that. Well, I see some meetings, so they are really engrossed, well, with the mobile phone playing, try to catch the monster. So it's been downloaded over 1 billion times. So it's really this AR entertainment application. And 70 to 75% age between 16 to 44 are already fully aware of AR. Okay, they have the shopping experience or retail online. They can even see how the dress looks like on them. AR in classroom, well, if you go back to some of our papers and the work, actually, well, we have one of the earlier, over 10 years ago, we're looking at VR already. We haven't done too much on AR, but these are typical works in the education. And we also expect to see 8% of the mid-sized companies are already using AR in some capacity, well, like the autos, well, like the factories. And there are thousands of AR mobile applications are already available. Well, I will show you even on the iPhone, on the Google, they have some of the apps that have available. Well, you can have around the world with augmented reality on tourism experience. And also Microsoft have the AR glasses, the HoloLens. Now they have the HoloLens 2, but still a bit expensive, 3.5K. But well, that one they sold 50,000 units. So they have a smart glasses and field services. And also expected around 3,000 startup using AR as well. So you can see, well, with the wearable devices and a lot of these opportunities. So if you take a look at what do we have nowadays, well, in terms of all this equipment, well, we expect to see that, well, a lot of these investment, a lot of opportunities through the hardware, well, like the sensors, well, like the headset, the cameras, the lenses, or gloves, etc. Okay, so these are some examples, but they're already readily available. Okay, Oculus Quest, they have superseded the Oculus Go before. Samsung, they got a Gear, although you even early on, even cheaper version, they have a carton box, and then will have your mobile phone put in on top of that. As I mentioned, a lot of these investment are going into games, like the PlayStation, okay, a lot of this headset. Another aspect is in terms of the feedback through the gloves. Okay, they have takes force feedback, and then so you can see some examples of it together with the VR headset, give you the VR experience and also the physical feedback. So some other, they're not only one, other gloves, well, in this case, like the Avatar VR. Okay, so you can have the feel, you can have a smart controllers, and then you can interact well with the Visa solution or doing the supplying the images on the fly. Some other brands, a High Five VR gloves. Okay, so there's some other specific features on this one. Okay, so some of the display interacted with different applications. Another one is the VR Free. So together with the headsets and the gloves. So another one, they have TX gloves. Again, where you have the other development kit, give you realistic touch, giving the force feedback, and also the motion tracking. And all of these they are interacting with the games engine, like the Unity, Unreal, Steam VR. But all these, they're not only just simply used in games, but you will also see a lot of the practical application in other areas. So we're using Unreal as an example. Well, it's not unusual nowadays for a lot of movies that are already using the computer generated the graphics. So games is having a big market. Well, our university, actually, we were one of the first university locally will give out the games course. So you'll see some of our past work looking at games and education, etc. So well, we have the games engine like the Unity and also the Unreal as an example. So you can see, well, they have given you example a lot of other applications. Well, games is one. Hey, what happened? Okay, game is one, and then another one, architectures. And then you have in the automotive and transportations, the broadcasting, okay, creating all the backdrops, the films and televisions, again, I've already mentioned, and also training in the industry and simulation. So a lot of these are the games engine, Unreal, they're able to supply the needs for all the different application areas. Now come to the lenses. Well, early on when you see the headset, the headset provides you with the VR experience because it's really completely and well cover your vision. But the other AR is really you are interacting with the real physical space, so you have to go through it through the lenses. So this is where the HoloLens come in. The Microsoft the whole HoloLens 2 is a second generation, and then well you can how it mixed with the mixed reality devices. And it's much more lighter. You will see a much more difference and a lot of other different devices, different examples as well. Bosch is another one. They call the sensor tech solutions. So the lens is only one of it. So really you're wearing something like a normal glasses, and then you have a superimposer onto the lens in front of you. And take a look in terms of the size of the device. Okay, so compared to what you have on the headset, it's much more smaller. It's really lightweight. Another one is Unreal. Again, you can see it's pretty lightweight, only 88 grams. So they're very different compared to the headset. Okay, they have a computing controller devices. So even Apple is coming in as well. So Apple having the VR glasses, they're even talking about this maybe even replacing a mobile phone. Well, when you think about that, one of the worst nightmare you can have is you lost your mobile phone. Okay, actually the other night I thought I lost my mobile phone as well. I was working in another place and I left it over there and I was really panicked. But even nicer, if you don't even need the mobile phone anymore, you just put on your glasses. So you have the AR or 2.0, another device. You can see that a lot of this application on this, well, on the VR and the AR, we have already mentioned about games. We're talking about the commercial application, enterprise, healthcare, aerospace, and automotive, real estates, geospatial mining. So all this is really talking about the AR application. Again, we'll go back to the live works, a lot of other examples as well. So even on the iPhone, well, you can even do it easily. You search for a certain objects. And some of the objects that are available to you in 3Ds. And I was playing with it. Okay, so this is an example. Well, like Pokemon, the Go, you have already done it already. But I can do it easily at home. Okay, so this is an article just simply, just a few days ago, September the 9th, you have a tiger. Okay, so you can play around with it. You look for a tiger, 3D, and I have it in my bedroom. I have a tiger on my bed. I have a Labrador, well, in my living room. Easily, it's being done, okay? So really the potential is limitless. So now, I more or less have finished my talk now, okay, right on time. So in summary, so maybe I can say that digital transformation is reshaping and redefining the business processes and disrupting existing business model. And you can see the evolution is going on. And you just look around you, you can see compared to a couple of years ago, so much have changed. And not only happening to the business, but same can be said for the industry, education, healthcare, and many other areas. And COVID-19 has hastened the changes, and it's essential to rescale and retool. As we all aware that now we're working from home, then I have seen some examples while using AI for the home application for education. And then the IEEE strategic focus is to provide and being the trusted source for education services and products. And you have seen so many resources I have shared with you. And then the digital reality initiative is one of the initiatives from the new initiative committee, and also related technologies, VR, AR, XR, MR, expected to bring forth many new applications. So I can repeat the statement of our mission and vision of IEEE. We're advancing technology for benefit of humanity. So I'm pretty sure that tomorrow is going to be a better day. The COVID-19 is not going to be forever. And we have seen that all this technology on the horizon is going to make the world a better place to live. So thank you very much for your attention, and let's get ready for the future. My name is Lance Fung, and you can get in touch with me through my email, lancecfung@IEEE.org, and my website is lancefung.net. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to stop my sharing, and I pass the host right back to you now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the informative session. Now, can we take a few quick queries from the audiences? One of them is that when we are moving, when we are totally transforming to the digital world, there are still some issues like cyber attacks. How can we overtake them? How can we minimize them?
Okay, well, cyber attack, well, cyber security definitely is a main issue. As a matter of fact, as I have said, well, in our IEEE new initiative, we have the cyber security. And also on top of that, we also have a lot of standards addressing them. So in terms of the security, anyway, there's no single answer in terms of eliminating it. Or I mean, well, unless everybody is going to be a good boy, a good girl. Unfortunately, the bad element is there because of the attractiveness of the money. Well, maybe for political reason, or a lot of different applications. What we can only say is, well, we have to abide some principle. Okay, well, we may not be able to stop it forever, but we need to be careful each individually. Okay, and also we do have initiatives. Well, take a look at cybersecurity. Well, IEEE. Well, in that website, you'll see a lot of guidelines helping you when you design your devices. Well, like the healthcare, like the mobile devices, wearable devices. What are the principles you should be put in place? And then as a user, you also have to be mindful of these possible attacks, etc. Say, for example, simple things like password. Simple things like you got to be careful. Not to, you really have to encrypt a lot of things as well. So some simple examples on that part. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay, sir. The next question is, does artificial neural network resolve the puzzles from quantum computing?
Okay, artificial intelligence, artificial neural network and quantum computing are two different things altogether. Artificial neural networks have been around for quite some time. Well, this really just simply algorithm, mimic, the structure of the brain. But really, if you ask me, I don't like it in a sense because it is not really a neural network, okay? But they just simply shape around it, okay? But just get the idea from it. But well, as I said, I have been working on it since when I first started my PhD. I've been looking into it. But thing I can say that nowadays we come to the stage that in terms of our infrastructure and the equipment and the computer resources, we're able to apply and solve the problem. We're not able to do it in the past. So in other words, I will just simply treat it as just one of the tools, okay? It's able to do the modeling, it's able to do the learning, it's able to do the prediction, it's able to do the analytic. Quantum is another thing altogether different. Well, quantum is really looking at the computational structure is based on the quantum theory. The main difference compared to what we have right now in our computer situation, whereby we base on binary. quantum is going to be based on the multi-levels and not going to be extremely fast, okay? So we are already, well, witnessing, well, there are some prototyping is already done. One of the main danger, actually, people is worried that if quantum is going to be so fast, you will be able to overcome or address some of the issue on security that the bad guys, well, can use some brute force approach. It could be another nightmare, okay? Strictly speaking, well, we always have two-edged sword. Again, on IEEE, we do have a quantum initiatives. Well, again, I would advise you to take a look at the quantum initiative from IEEE. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, sir. So one more question is there. Can you please give some valuable tips so that we can write the research paper effectively and it can attract the evaluators?
I'm just looking at that question again. Which question is it? Sorry, I missed the question. Can you read the question now again?
Yes,
the last
sir.
question in the chat box.
So the last question only, can you give some tips for writing an effective research paper? Like what are the main points that attract the evaluators?
So the question is, give some tips on writing effective paper. Is it right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, I would say this is a pretty general question because, well, first of all, in terms of writing a paper, well, I always say that, first of all, you must know, well, you have done enough background work. You need to know why you want to write the paper. Well, what is the target? What's the aim for? Don't write the paper of just writing the paper. Well, there's no such thing as an effective paper. Well, maybe you mean effective is going to be accepted. But really, you need to target, well, the venue. Say, for example, if it's a proceeding, you must match what they're looking for. And you should have read enough paper from that venue. Then you know that is your standard compatible to them or not, okay? And then, well, I mean, it's just like, well, how are you going to write, if I ask you another question, how are you going to write a book or novel is guaranteed going to be a bestseller? Or maybe how are you going to make a film is guaranteed to be a bestseller? And I think that no one can answer that question. Well, I would say that it all depends on the reader. So if you are writing a technical papers, well, for the journal, for the conferences, well, first of all, you must match the theme of the venue that you're going to publish. And second thing is, well, your quality and in terms of the standard of the work, it must be compatible. And I really expect, well, any researcher, you must have done enough background research, well, of reading enough paper that you should know that how well is your paper compared to the others. That would be my answer to that, okay? I see there's one question. Can I answer it on the Q&A? The question is, what is brain technology? Does this technology have any relationship with neural network? Or kind of elaborate brain technology? Okay, good question. Now, again, I can refer to you to the brain initiative. Well, in IEEE website again, we have this brain initiative. Well, mainly the brain initiative, we're looking at the human and computer interface, well, through the brain. Now, there are two aspects. Well, one is really non-intrusive in a sense that, well, you try to measure the brainwave like the EEG. So again, if you take a look at our work, well, I have one student do some work on that. So if you maybe have seen some images of putting on a glove with all the sensor on it and try to picking up all the brainwave, because we do have a biosignal. Okay, we have the biosignal, and then my student looking at different bandwidth, different signals, different frequency range, etc., and then try to do some filtering. And then our work is looking at the emotion of that part. But actually, it's getting quite successful nowadays. People have been using that to do control. Okay, it has been shown that people, they are on a wheelchair, they're using a brainwave to control the movement of the wheelchair. They even showed that some experiment using a monkey can using the brainwave to control the movement of the screen, and even so we have already done a lot of advancement in that part. So on the brain technology, we can look at it briefly on that part. There are already some work actually implant. Actually, Elon Musk again is the one. Well, you have to give credit to him. But having the neural, I think I cannot recall exact terms. Actually, chips are putting on the scalp, and actually maybe in time to come it could be an implant as well. Okay, so we have some ethical issue on that part. But I do see that in time to come, because of security issue, maybe implant maybe along the horizon. So if you ask me, are there any relationship with the neural network? The answer is yes or no. Yes, in a sense that because a lot of times, you use the neural network to analyze those brain waves and then to make some decision. Okay, so it's on that part. But they themselves, the brain technology by itself is not relating to it, but it's mainly looking at the interface. And again, in the IEEE, well, I didn't mention about the roadmap. We do have the roadmap talking about the neural interface as well. I cannot recall the exact terms. They are standard, will be coming up as well. So we do expect the new wave of a new era of interfacing. It's no longer using the mobile phone, but rather use a brainwave to control it. So you have seen that just now they are talking about the lenses will do away with the smartphone. But think about the potential. If you really can have the brain technology, whereby using your brain to decide. Well, although actually my wife doesn't need that. My wife knows what I'm thinking about already, so she knows everything. She doesn't need the brain technology. Okay. Anyway, okay. So I hope I answered that question. Is there any more questions?
I think the queries are over. Thank you so much for handling the queries nicely. It was an interesting and interactive session, sir. Now I would request Professor Dr. S.N. Sridhara and Dr. Anil Kumar to honor our eminent speaker by a letter of appreciation.
Anil, you can take it. Sir, this is a small letter of appreciation to you for reaching all of us. In fact, I think your talk was very motivative, and also like, though in our university also there are some virtual reality experiments we are doing. To the depth actually you explained is, opening up a lot of Pandora box for us. Definitely, I think our students and the faculty are highly beneficial with your talk. Thank you very much for joining, and just one small request to you, you were with us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now I would request Dr. Anil Kumar, Head Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, to deliver the vote of thanks and wind up the session.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Fung. This was a nice session, and we have learned a lot how this we can get the benefits from IEEE. So the first thanks goes to Dr. Fung, who gives such a nice talk at this platform. I would like to thank our founder president, sir, Chancellor, sir, because as our respected directors are already mentioned during the opening remarks, this we are celebrating the Innovation Week 2020. It is from 21st September to 25th September. 28th September is Innovation Day. We are celebrating every year on the occasion of the birthday of our Honorable Chancellor, sir, Dr. Asim Chauhan. So I would like to thank both of them, Founder President and Chancellor, sir. Apart from that, I would like to thank our respected Vice Chancellor, sir, Deputy Vice Chancellor, sir, and Pro Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to provide such an opportunity to celebrate the birthday of our Honorable Chancellor, sir. My best, thanks goes to our respected directors, sir, who provide this opportunity to interact with such a knowledgeable person, Professor Fung. When I was searching for some webinar to organize during this Innovation Week, sir provide me your name, like you just interact with this person, this professor, and he is very knowledgeable. And I found this opportunity today to interact with you and my students and faculty members. I think they learned a lot during this session. Next thanks goes to my heads of department who joined this session, faculty members, students, and other members. And last but not the least, my thanks goes to Dr. Sodi, the IT team, and Mr. Mobin Khan, who provide this platform, the Zoom, through which we were able to connect with Professor Fung. Thank you all the joinees. Thank you.
Thank you, Fung, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
stay safe, stay motivated, and keep innovating.
Thank you.